Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today I've got another draw along for you. This one involves a lot of flowers. So if you watched my previous vlog, you will have seen that we went to the supermarket, we got some fruit and veg, things to draw in the first draw along. I also got a bunch of flowers, and I got so many images from that first draw along that I decided just to do a setup with the flowers for us to do a draw along together now. So let me show you all the artwork I created from that, and then we'll go into the video, and then at the end, if you want to do the draw along yourself, all the timed drawings are there waiting for you with the photographs. So let's dive in. Okay, so I wanted to share with you all of the drawings, the sketches that I did just using the photographs from this video. I find it so helpful to just have this on. You can pause it if you feel like you need more time to work with the images, but I love the fact that the timings are there for you. You don't have to think about it. You can just get lost in the process. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying these draw along videos, because that's the idea of just getting out your sketchbook, your art supplies, and having a play. So this is the first sketch that I did, and I think this actually took me about an hour. So I just paused on the first photograph and just took my time with it. I'd already prepped the page in the background, so this green here, I had kind of this green and turquoise splurge of watercolour in the background, and I thought, right, let's give myself a base to work on top of. And then I used my 0.8 Unipin fine line pen and just did some really quick kind of scribbly, loose sketching, just to get as much detail as I could. So I just took it flower by flower. I tried to get things vaguely where they are in the photograph. Here especially, there was quite a lot going on in the photo, so I just picked out a few stems. Equally down here, there were loads of stems with leaves, so I just picked out a few. And once I'd finished the sketch, I discovered that because of all of these lines, it was really difficult to tell what was negative space and what was actually flowers. So I thought, right, I'll go in with some of my colouring pencils, and hopefully you can see that here. I basically coloured in all of the negative space, and then the prepped paper, you can see like all of that green watercolor comes through on the image that I created. So it was really nice, just took my time. I ended up layering two different colors. I've got like a purpley grayish color, and then the blue, which is the aqua Holbein. I love the Holbein pencils. I love the kind of buttery kind of consistency that they have. Really nice to work over the top of the watercolor as well. And I think that was quite a fun spread in the end. I think it was roughly an hour long, but I really didn't pay too much attention to how long it took. And this is the sort of thing that's quite nice to maybe listen to an audiobook or something like that. Have something on in the background whilst you're working, and the time honestly flies by. I quite like the sort of abstract nature of these, especially all these buds as well. That's quite fun. So yeah, really enjoyed the process of this spread. Okay, I then moved on again to some of the other photographs that are in this video, and again I just paused, so I didn't do the timings to start with. I just wanted to see how much detail I could get down from the flowers. So again, I did the same thing as I did in the previous sketch, but because it took me like an hour, I thought I'll just do one page per image and see if that was a little bit quicker. So here you can see I've got this pink that I've put down on the prepped paper first of all, and then I've used my black fine line pen here to just sketch out all the flowers. I've got the leaves in here, and again I just started, I think I started here with these sort of flowers at the bottom, and then just work my way out. So I pick a point within the photo or the image, draw that first of all, and then I work outwards from there in different directions and then up. And again, I've not included everything. I've sort of used a bit of artistic license as well. And you've got the little rosemary pot at the bottom here too. I then, instead of using my coloured pencil, I used my ginger red watercolour and did the same thing. So I kind of painted out all the negative space, and I really like how this turned out as well. So sort of similar to how this one turned out, but I'm just playing around with my materials here. So it was really nice to use that in the background. You do get these quite splodgy effects. It'd be quite nice to do this with some gouache as well. Gouache is great for getting a nice solid base colour. So that's definitely something to play around with. But again, I really like just this sort of abstract feel and the looseness as well. There's just something really freeing about not overthinking it and just being really loose with your drawings. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Again, I've moved on to another photograph, but this time I used pencil. So I thought, right, I'll steer clear of my black fine line pen because that was becoming quite an easy way to draw. There's nothing wrong with that at all, and I was really liking the outcome. I could quite easily have done all of my spreads in the same way, but what I really wanted to do was really push my comfort zone, push my boundaries of how I'm working. So this has ended up being very different, the feel to this. As you can see, I've just sketched in exactly the same way, but I've used my pencil for the outline. So you can see here, all this pink is the prepped page. I've then gone in with my black wing pencil here. And then over the top of that, so once I've finished, and it did look kind of messy, that's when I went back in and I actually used, I think this is the light cobalt blue. It's a Neocolor 1, this one. So it's kind of like a wax crayon. Again, to kind of push this pink back. I filled out all the negative space with that. And then I did colour in some of the vines, some of the leaves with coloured pencil. So I almost took it one step further here than I did with the previous one, of trying to add in a little bit of colour. So yeah, you can see, like, side by side, they have a very different feel to them. But both, I think, are really beautiful in their own way, and both have their own merits. This one's got very chunky line work, and both have quite an abstract feel to them, I think. This one feels a little bit more delicate, and I do love kind of the layering of the colours. So when you kind of step back, if you saw those sort of on a wall, there's a lot more depth to this, I think, compared to this one. So again, you could go back in and use coloured pencils on the leaves here, and maybe that would add even more interest. But yeah, just really fun to approach this just with that mindset of trying things out. So after I'd done these 3 pages, I now felt confident enough that I could go in and start these quick sketches. Okay, so here you can absolutely see the prepped page. I'd done these prior to any of this, and this is actually a 5-minute sketch. So super quick, and as I said, I'd felt like my fine line pen was quite an easy way to draw. So I just went in really quick, really sketchy, just trying to capture as much information as I can, trying to capture as many forms as I can. I quite like these sorts of lines here where they almost show like the shape and the form of the buds without really using the lines to add detail as such. They're more like capturing the form. So yeah, I was quite pleased with that, and I think because I'd done these 3 previous sketches, the images here felt familiar at this point. So doing a 5-minute sketch felt quite easy compared to, I think it felt quite daunting when I first started. Like, I didn't really even know where to start because the flowers, I found it a lot harder than I thought it would. I thought that flowers were quite forgiving because they've got loads of petals and they're all going to look slightly different, so you can get away with it not looking like how it needs to look. but when they're in a bouquet, it's so hard to decide even where to start. So that's why I always started generally at the bottom with a flower at the bottom. So in this case, it's the one by the vase. And then I worked my way out. So I draw some of these, and then I'd come back and draw this way, and then I'd keep extending out. And I think that really helped. So having practiced that already, I think that's how I got so much information down in 5 minutes. So again, you can see the difference then between this sketch and this sketch, and what a difference it makes when you go in to add in this negative space colour. So if I'd done that here, I think that's what it's really calling for. It would really transform this. But I love the fact that you can see the process in this. So moving forward, this is a 5-minute sketch and this is a 10-minute sketch. So again, both on prepped pages. This one I purposefully put a pink splodge in the background of the page here because I knew there were flowers around this area. So I wanted them to pick up the colour. So both of these have got my black fine line pen. So again, just really quick sketches. This one I managed to get a little bit of that negative space colour in, but they're very, very quick, very sketchy. I think I actually started at the front here, moved my way into these, and then moved my way up. So that was how I tackled that one. And I feel like I've got loads in there just in 5 minutes. This one, so in the photograph, the pepper in the bowl is actually quite blurred. So you can see these in the forefront. So you could have actually just ignored that. I could have ignored that completely and just drawn the flowers. But yeah, I did manage with the 10 minutes, I did manage to get in some of this negative space where I coloured it out. And it really just highlights a bit better where the flowers are, where the leaves are. I tried to use this dark pencil as well in here, where there was a lot of detail, and so I just used that as like dark shadow instead and pushed that back. I used a bit of pencil here on the flower that doesn't have the pink in the background as well. But yes, quite surprising. I think once you get colouring things in, that actually takes quite a lot of time. So I feel like I didn't get a huge amount more done in this one as I did in this, but maybe I just drew slightly slower because I knew I had twice as much time. Anyway, that was definitely like worthwhile. And then I have got, this is something else, so we'll just get into this one. This was then the 20-minute sketch, and it's interesting to me that this one feels really rushed even though I had 20 minutes. And it's funny that I feel like I preferred some of these earlier sketches. I know that was an hour long, but yeah, like this one here, I feel like if I'd spent 20 minutes on that, this could have really transformed. So again, sometimes it is maybe the photograph that you're drawing from. I think as well, because you're looking down on the vase, obviously the vase is like here, so you can't see it. So it's an interesting perspective sort of from above. I did manage to actually colour in each element, so that was nice. And I used a little bit more of my watercolour. So again, that's where I need time to let things dry. But yeah, it feels very different. This does feel really different to any of these other sketches. So I definitely feel like I learned something from every single drawing that I did, and I think that's what I'm enjoying most about our quick sketches. I've got one more thing to show you here. So again, this is on watercolor paper. This is not prepped pages, but it is me starting off with a black fine line pen. I then used my watercolor to try and color things in. So I've got purple for the purple flowers, pink for the pink, obviously some green. And then I really loved that factor where I'd use the negative space. So I went in really dark with my Payne's grey, and this is almost a similar image here. So it's the florals from above. And I mean, if I'm talking about artworks, whether I like it, I don't really like these. these are not works that I'm proud of or would frame or sell or anything like that. But again, I've learned a lot doing this. I think I really like this, so adding in the contrast. Again, if I'd had more time, it makes me wonder, like, would I have layered up maybe coloured pencil in here as well? Would I have done the whole page a bit more? Because it's sort of, I've got like this big gap here. Just how would I tackle it? Or would I maybe just focus in on, say, like these 3 flowers and then really capture these in detail and do the rest blurred? That's a sort of way that you could draw the eye in and have everything else just sort of splodgy colour, but just focus on the detail of one section. So if you don't know how to tackle this drawing and you feel like there's too much information to get down, maybe do that. Maybe just focus on 1 or 2 flowers, really get down those details, and you can almost just really quickly splodge in some green marks with watercolour, and that would suggest the rest of the bouquet. So it's interesting how you can use things to your advantage. You can try things out in these quick sketches, and honestly the time flies by. That's something else that really shocks me, is how quickly the time goes. And so by the end of it, so this was just sort of one afternoon, I probably spent maybe 3 hours on this in total, so it's quite a big drawing session. But yeah, I got so much work out of this, so much work. Usually this is the amount of work I would do in a whole week if I'm just drawing every day. So I think because I take my brain out of the equation, I'm taking all that doubt away, I'm not overthinking things, I'm just trying stuff out, and it's so freeing, it really is. So you're about to see now the little kind of vlog video of me filming the different setups, and we pause and we see the photographs and then we move on. Okay, so let me now take you through our little video. So here we've got the bouquet, and straight away this I loved. So there's a pause there, and this is one of the photographs that I've used in my first sketch, that hour-long sketch. So as I'm playing around with the camera, I quickly discovered that I can't actually get everything in frame. So I'm trying to figure out what I can look at through the lens, what I can capture. And obviously I've got all these beautiful flowers here at the top, and then I've got the bowl and the rosemary plant there at the bottom as well. I've got this frame behind us, so I'm trying to use that as a really nice kind of backdrop so there's no clutter. But yes, I discover quite quickly that I'm better off tipping the camera up this way, and then we can actually see everything in one go. So here we've got this image, so you've still got the pepper in the bowl down there, but you've got the whole vase and the flowers in the top as well. So we're getting a bit of height in there. That's what I was trying to go for. So something lower down and then building the height throughout. So here already we've got a couple of images, so these are going to be used for the drawing session in a second. And I just keep playing around with my camera angle. I really like looking from above. So after all that time of trying to get the height in, actually this looking down on the image is really nice, and I really love that it captures all of these floral elements. There's so many different things in here, from the little white sprays to the buds as well, to the big florals. I quite like as well having these curves. So the curve of the bowl is interesting to me, but you've got this spray here of the rosemary. So I thought that was quite nice. That could be nice to draw with the vase in the background. So the whole time I'm just trying to figure out, right, what would be interesting as a painting or a drawing. So here again from above, you've got loads of florals in there. There's different sizes as well. So the smaller flowers, and then you've got the large pink flowers. Just tipping it round on angles. And then when I'm happy with it, that's when I take a little snapshot. So all of these will be in the drawing session in a second, and we're going to be going through 5-minute drawings, there's a 10-minute drawing, and then there's a 20-minute drawing at the end as well. And I've discovered that the best way to tackle this is to maybe pick one flower, one bud, and use that as your starting point and draw outwards from there. There's quite a lot of information in every frame, and here obviously you're seeing 3 of everything because that's that's how many frames I could fit into this video. But yeah, we've got some lovely images here, so it does feel like there's a lot to capture, but just capture as much as you can. This is definitely about making it your own as well. So if you decide to do this at home, I absolutely recommend, you know, getting a vase of flowers. Maybe you've got a potted plant, something like that, and just take your camera and even just taking lots of photographs as you move around your setup. And then you've got this like folder of images that you can draw from and you can come back to time and time again. So here we go, this is our first drawing. Let's get into it. We've got 5 minutes for this one. So we've got another 5-minute sketch now, but this time you've got 3 images to choose from. So they're all fairly similar, but just from a slightly different angle. So just pick one and work your way through this. So this is our 10-minute sketch, and again you have got 3 images to choose from, so select which one you'd like to work from. You can always come back to these later on, and every time you watch this video select a different image to work through and draw from. And here we've got our 20-minute sketch. So again, we've got 3 images to choose from. Just pick one, take your time with it, try different materials, different mediums, different supplies, and again, just start with like one point in this photograph and work your way outwards with your sketch, and enjoy the drawing. So thank you so much for watching this draw along. I hope you've enjoyed seeing a little insight into my creative process, and I hope this inspires you to do some quick sketches, whether you use these images or not. You could create your own, and I'll see you very soon for another video. Lots of love, take care, bye.